Hello, class. I'm going to help you with converting between radians and degrees. Now, you are already familiar with degrees. They're used in angle measures. Radians are used in angle measures too. They involve the radii of circles. But anyway, this is how it goes. So they want to know how many radians is 45 degrees, okay? How many radians can you get with 45 degrees? Well, here's what you need to know. If you have 180 degrees, listen carefully, if you have 180 degrees, you get pi radians, okay? Remember this symbol? It's the ratio of the circle's circumference to its diameter. Okay, so with 180, you get pi. How many you get with 45? Now here's a proportion. You can keep setting this up and then, do the algebra, but it's easier to just have a formula, so you just have to deal with numbers, okay? So I'm going to solve for this and get a formula out of this. So I need to get r by itself, so I have to get rid of this 45, and to do that I must multiply both sides by 45, because multiplication is the inverse of division. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 45. I can just put a 45 here, and I can just cross that out, okay? And if I multiply this, it becomes 45 pi over 180. All right? So you may notice that your answer choices here are fractions, and that's for a reason. It's simpler that way, and it shows the exact measurement, because sometimes when you divide, you get repeating decimals, and that's just an estimation. Now, of course, here we don't see 45 over 180. You need to reduce it. You should know that 45 goes into 180 4 times. But if you're not sure, there's always this. I'm not proud of showing you this, but it's going to slow down your learning this geometry part. You should know your fractions. So if you go to calculator.net, you're going to like this. You can get a fraction calculator. So you have to go over here where it says math calculators, go to fraction calculator, and you come here. And here's where you can simplify fraction calculator. Okay? You can simplify fraction of the calculator. Why was that so hard to say? So I put in 48 over 180, and I hit calculate. Gives me 1 over 4. So this reduces to 1 over 4, which is really pi over 4. And it's right there, okay? And so you don't have to set up a proportion. Really, all you're doing is taking your angle measure and multiplying it by pi over 180. Okay? So we'll do the one here. How many radians is 30 degrees? So I'm going to take 30, and I'm going to multiply it by pi over 180. Okay? And really, they're just next to each other. I'm just reducing here. 30, how many times does it go into 180? Again, it is 6 times, but if you're not sure, you enter it here. 30 over, excuse me, my email's getting in the way here. I have to know how to turn off those notices. Okay, 30 over 180. 1 over 6, like I said. So that's going to be pi over 6. Okay? Now for this next one, 240, that's more than 180, so you're most likely going to have an improper fraction. If you noticed, all your answer choices are improper fractions. So again, 240 times pi over 180. And again, if you're not sure, okay, 60 goes into both, so it should be 4 over 3. But if you're not sure, you go back to this 240 over 180. And now you need an improper fraction. This is a mixed number, so go a little to the left, there's 4 over 3. So it's 4 pi over 3. Okay, now this one, there's no multiple choices, but it's the same method. So 90 times pi over 180, that's 90 pi over 180. And you should know that 90 over 180 is 1/2. But I'm gonna skip to some other problems here. So sometimes they want radians, but I believe other times they want degrees. Okay, now let's think about this. This time they want degrees. I'm gonna put D for degrees, okay? And that gives you pi over 2 radians. Uh-oh, ugly fractions. Okay. But we know 180. Let me get that proportion. 180 gives you pi. Okay. So to get rid of this, I have to multiply both sides by pi over 2. Okay, when that happens, the pi's cancel out, and you have 180 over 2. You can divide that. That gives you 90. Okay? Now you might have noticed before I hit submit, this time you're taking what they give you and multiplying it by 180 over pi. So when they gave you the degrees and you had to find the radians, you did that number times pi over 180. Now, when they give you radians and you want degrees, you times it by 180 over pi. Okay? Excuse me. Okay, so this next one here. So, you want to know how many degrees would pi over 5 radians. Okay, so pi over 5. And since I want degrees, I'm going to be multiplying that by 180 over pi. And if you're not sure if it's pi over 180 or 180 over pi, well, you got to think. Degrees are not expressed with pi symbols. So this pi symbol has to be in the bottom for them to cancel out. Okay, so 180 over 5. And you can divide that because 5 goes into 180 evenly. Okay, and that's going to give me, let's see, that will give me 36. Okay. All right, so that's basically how you do it. You just have to get up to a 70. That shows you mastered it. And you should be okay. If not, you can always contact me. Good luck.